The message arrived at 2:47 a.m., and it changed everything. Emma stared at her phone screen through bleary eyes, confusion clouding her tired mind. The text was meant for someone named Jessica, asking if she was still awake and wanted to grab coffee in the morning. But Emma wasn't Jessica. She was just a lonely graduate student who hadn't received a text from anyone but her mother in 3 weeks. Her finger hovered over the delete button, ready to dismiss this digital mistake and return to her empty apartment and emptier life. Instead, something made her pause. Maybe it was the genuine warmth in those words, or maybe it was the crushing loneliness that had become her constant companion since moving to Chicago 6 months ago. Whatever the reason, Emma found herself typing back a response that would unravel the carefully constructed walls around her broken heart. If you believe in second chances, in the magic of unexpected moments, and in the power of kindness to transform lives, please hit that like button, leave a comment below, share this story, and subscribe to our channel. Because what you're about to hear proves that sometimes the most beautiful chapters of our lives begin with a simple mistake. Emma had moved to Chicago with dreams as tall as the skyscrapers that now surrounded her cramped studio apartment. A prestigious PhD program in psychology, a chance to escape the small town that held too many painful memories, a fresh start after the devastating breakup that had left her questioning everything she thought she knew about love. But 6 months into her new life, she felt more isolated than ever. The city that promised opportunity had delivered only anonymity. Her days blurred together in a monotonous cycle of lectures, library sessions, and microwave dinners eaten alone while streaming shows she barely watched. She had forgotten what it felt like to have someone genuinely interested in her day, her thoughts, her existence, so when that wrong text arrived, Emma made a choice that defied all logic. She told the sender, whose name she soon learned was Marcus, about the mistake. But instead of a quick apology and goodbye, Marcus responded with humor and curiosity. He asked about her day. He wanted to know what kept a stranger awake at almost 3 in the morning. And Emma, surprising herself, told him the truth. She was working on her dissertation about human connection in the digital age, drowning in research about how technology both bridges and deepens the gaps between people. The irony wasn't lost on either of them. Their conversation stretched into the early morning hours, words flowing with an ease that felt both foreign and familiar. Marcus told her about his life as a high school art teacher who had recently lost his father to cancer, about how he was struggling to find meaning in routines that once brought joy, about the woman named Jessica who had stood him up for the 3rd time that month. He confessed that he was tired of trying to force connections with people who couldn't see him, really see him. Emma understood that feeling with every fiber of her being. She had spent the last year invisible, even to herself. They didn't meet right away. For 3 weeks, Emma and Marcus existed in a space between strangers and friends, sharing pieces of themselves through screens and late-night messages. He sent her photos of his students' artwork, and she could hear the pride in his written words. She shared excerpts from her research, and he offered insights that were surprisingly profound. They talked about everything and nothing, building something neither could quite name, but both desperately needed. Emma found herself smiling at her phone, rushing home from campus not to escape but to continue their conversations. The walls of her apartment felt less confining when she knew someone was waiting on the other end of a text message. Someone who asked about her day and genuinely cared about the answer. But fear is a powerful force, and Emma carried wounds that hadn't fully healed. Her ex-fiancé had promised forever and delivered betrayal, leaving her unable to trust the emotions stirring in her chest. She convinced herself that what she felt for Marcus was just gratitude for attention, that meeting him would shatter the illusion they had created. So when Marcus finally suggested coffee, Emma hesitated. She typed and deleted responses for 20 minutes, her heart racing with a mixture of longing and terror. What if he was disappointed by the real her? What if this fragile connection crumbled under the weight of reality? What if she opened her heart again, only to have it broken in new and devastating ways? Marcus seemed to sense her fear because his next message wasn't pushing for a meeting. Instead, he told her a story about his father, about the last conversation they had before the cancer stole his voice. His father had said that regret tastes bitter than any medicine, that the chances we don't take haunt us more than the ones that don't work out. Marcus said he understood if she wasn't ready, but he wanted her to know that she had already changed his life. For the first time since his father's death, he felt hopeful. He felt seen. And regardless of what happened next, he was grateful that he had texted the wrong number and found the right person. Emma cried reading those words, tears falling onto her phone screen as years of pain and protection and loneliness cracked open. She thought about her dissertation research, about all the theories of human connection she had studied but never truly understood. She thought about the person she used to be before heartbreak taught her to hide, before she confused safety with isolation. And she thought about Marcus, this stranger who had somehow become the person who knew her better than anyone. They met on a Saturday morning at a small coffee shop near the Art Institute. Emma arrived 15 minutes early, her hands shaking as she ordered tea she couldn't drink. When Marcus walked through the door, she recognized him instantly from the photo he had sent, but nothing had prepared for the way her heart would respond to his actual presence. He had kind eyes that crinkled when he smiled, and when he said her name, it sounded like coming home. They talked for 4 hours, the coffee shop bustling around them while they existed in their own universe. Every fear Emma had harbored melted away as Marcus laughed at her terrible jokes and listened to her stories with complete attention. He was exactly who he had been in their messages, but amplified by reality, made more vivid and real and wonderful. The months that followed weren't perfect. Emma still struggled with trust, and Marcus carried grief that sometimes pulled him under. They had disagreements about things both trivial and significant, but they had built something during those weeks of messages, a foundation of genuine understanding that held strong when things got difficult. Marcus met Emma's academic friends and made them laugh with stories about teaching teenagers to appreciate abstract art. Emma sat in the back of his classroom and watched him inspire students who thought they had no creativity. They learned each other's rhythms, the ways they needed space and the ways they needed closeness. 1 year after that wrong text message, Marcus took Emma back to the coffee shop where they had first met. He told her that his father had been wrong about one thing. Regret wasn't the most bitter taste. The most bitter taste would have been never knowing what they could become together. Then he asked her a question that made her heart soar and tears streamed down her face. A question about forever that didn't feel terrifying anymore, but like the most natural thing in the world. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that beautiful things can emerge from unexpected places, please take a moment to like this video and leave a comment. Share it with someone who needs to hear that their person might be just one wrong text away. Your engagement helps us share more stories of hope and connection. Before we end, I want to ask you something special. Please comment below and tell us about a time when a mistake turned into a blessing in your life. Your story might inspire someone who's reading. Emma often thinks about that night, about her finger hovering over the delete button, about the choice that changed everything. She thinks about all the small decisions that had to align perfectly for Marcus to type a wrong number, for her to be awake, for both of them to be brave enough to continue talking. She doesn't believe in fate exactly, but she believes in the magic that happens when two people who need each other find each other, even in the most unlikely ways. And every morning when she wakes up next to Marcus, when he asks about her dreams and really listens to the answer, Emma is grateful she was the wrong girl who turned out to be exactly right.